Hello, brothers and sisters. The title of the message today is Returning to the Source of Life, Book 3, Abundance of Life, number 10, Christ, who is the light of the world, number 2. That was the reason why John said, "We have heard, which we have seen with our eyes, which we have looked at, and our hands have touched." Before, even though we had our eyes, but we could not see. But now we have seen, heard, and touched God's work. I think Apostle John wrote the epistle in order to convey the fact that he had experienced that. The book of John was written with a meaning and purpose. It was not just written the historic facts, but the experiences the apostle himself had experienced. He had chosen those transformations that took place in himself. He wanted to show to other people, if we have just eyes, we can see all of God's creatures when there is an illumination of sunlight. Anybody have that eyes, but about God's work, strangely enough, only special illumination is absolutely necessary. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 3, as God said, "Let there be a light," and there was light. This light is the special light. Only with this special light we can see. Only with the illumination of Christ we can see God's work. Apostles spent more than 3 years with Jesus. They watched Jesus in various aspects. They slept together with him, had food together with him, and when Jesus performed miracles, they were there with him. They thought they saw everything and understood everything about him. There was nobody who knew him better. They could never say, "We don't know about him." But why did they desert Jesus? They saw him clearly, but why did they desert him? I once thought I envied those people who could be born in the time of Jesus. I thought as they could see Jesus directly, how easy they could understand Jesus. So easy. But that's not true. Even though they could see directly, it is impossible. Disciples spent 3.5 years with him, but they could not understand him. Disciples, even though they watched what Jesus had done, but why did they desert Jesus? As they watched what Jesus had done, they thought those things cannot be done by a plain human being. How can plain water turn into wine? How could he calm the sea and wind? How could the dead Lazarus come back to life again? How could he feed 5,000 people with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread? And leftover food was more than 12 basketfuls. Using human common sense, it is impossible to understand by all means. Disciples' concept was fixed. Jesus can carry out those things that any human being cannot carry out. If he can carry out any human being cannot carry out, then he is God. Thus, they had no other way but to think he has nothing he cannot do. Suppose we followed him, we could have thought the same way. Apparently, he was a human being like themselves, but looking at what he had done, they could not say Jesus is a human being. But what happened to them when Jesus could not come down from the cross? Suppose disciples believed Jesus who died on the cross in order to save sinners like modern Christians. They could have thought Jesus who was crucified, who could not come down from the cross, so natural. Suppose I was crucified and could not come down from the cross. Whoever they may be, they all will think it's so natural. They would never say, "If you're a son of God, come down from the cross." They don't need to say that. Nobody would say, like the right-hand side robber, "Come down from the cross." But disciples had a prejudice. That man is not just a human being. How could normal human being perform such kind of miracles? But that very Jesus could not come down from the cross. So that caused problems. They wondered, it became a problem. Who is that man when he performed miracles? And who is that man who could not come down from the cross? Why did Peter deny Jesus at the court of Caiaphas? Well, Jesus, before that time, he was not just a mere man, but at the court of Caiaphas, Jesus was beaten and went through humiliation. Peter really could not understand that Jesus at all. They covered up his face with red-colored cloth. Then they spit in his face and struck him with their fists. Others slapped him and said, "Prophesy to us, Christ. Who hit you?" They mocked him, but Jesus could not say anything. They thought Jesus was God. He was the Son of God. He was just like God. But they mocked at him. He was helpless, and people mocked at him. But when the high priest asked, "Tell us if you're Christ, the Son of God," Jesus said, "Yes, it is as you said." That was the reply of Jesus. So Peter was so shocked also. Suppose we were on the standing point of Peter, we had no other way but to be disappointed. Peter denied Jesus 3 times. "I don't know him." And at the end he said, "I definitely don't know him." And then the rooster crowed 3 times. He went outside and burst into tears. Many Christians interpret this part of the Bible. Peter denied Jesus 3 times, but later he repented and cried. But that's not correct. But actually, Peter became exploded in anger toward himself. That's why he cried. People would think Peter denied Jesus, but he repented. But that's not true. Peter became exploded in anger toward himself. Who is that Jesus that I have followed for 3.5 years? And Jesus, who is in the court of Caiaphas. How did Jesus know the fact that I would deny him 3 times? And he predicted in advance, as he was reminded those things, and he couldn't help bursting into tears. Suppose Peter repented, he could have returned. He could jump back to Jesus and confess, "I'll die together with you." But as Peter did not have that kind of criteria in himself, he had no other way but to deny Jesus. The Bible is very truthful. It was written in a truthful way, not with too much decorative expressions. Suppose we were there, we could have done the same thing. How can he behave and think in a different way? Disciples believed Jesus would come down from the cross naturally. Other people did not believe that, so they mocked at Jesus, but disciples believed in Jesus. They believed God will never desert Jesus. Jesus will not die in such a miserable way. But at the end, they became so disappointed. If not, they would not be disappointed. When a man was shot by a gun, nobody would say, "Why did that man die?" During the Korean War, I saw a man who was killed by a gun. He graduated from Japanese college, Myungchi College, and he ran for House and Senate of Korea. One bullet went through his chest, and another bullet entered into his organ of his body. One little bullet, which is as small as a bean, killed him. Who would say, "Why did he die?" When a common man dies, nobody thinks it is strange. Common man dies if he's crucified. It is natural. But as Jesus died on the cross, people thought it was so strange. All through human history, there were so many great leaders and teachers, and they had disciples. But there were no disciples who denied their great leaders and teachers because they respected their leaders. Peter confessed, "I want to go with you to the place where you die. And if you go to the prison, I'll go together. Other disciples of other leaders did not betray their leaders. Only the disciple of Jesus betrayed Jesus. Did disciples of Confucius have reason for betrayal? Did disciples of Buddha have reasons for betrayal? No. Only disciples of Jesus betrayed Jesus. Why such thing happen? Even today, if we say Jesus could not come down from the cross, so many Christians would not believe that. How could they say that? Jesus did not come down from the cross because he had certain reasons. But why do they say he could not come down from the cross? What a strange thing are you talking about? They don't want to believe the fact that Jesus couldn't come down from the cross. Those people who believe with strong faith, they don't want to believe this. If Jesus is such a helpless person who could not come down from the cross, what good is there for us to believe in him? What good is there for us to pray in his name? If Jesus could not come down from the cross, their faith which was maintained would be demolished. On this position, general Christians and disciples, there's no difference at all. Why did disciples left Jesus, deserting Jesus? Suppose disciples thought just like Christians today. Why did they run away? Jesus did not come down because of ourselves. He could not come down, but in order to save ourselves, he did not come down from the cross. Well, if they thought that way, they could burst into tears and turn thanks to him. But they denied Jesus and ran away. Disciples saw Jesus in the accurate way. The way that Christians today understand him is not correct. The way that disciples understand Jesus is correct. They are truthful people. They don't have any deceitfulness at all. Through this incident, we can learn nobody understands God and his work at all in the whole world. Book of Romans chapter 3, verse 9 through 18. Paul said, there is no one who could understand, no one who believes, and no one who seeks God. Well, there are so many Christians who believe in God and who seek for God in the world. But why did he say there is no one? In the time of Paul, there was no one. But now there are many? No, that's not true. It's the same in the time of Paul and now. Why is he so? Why people don't know God and about God's work? People must know God and about God's work. Only then they can spread gospel. Adam's world after the garden, in the relationship with God, it was so dark. As they are blind people, they cannot see God. In the garden, they could not see God. They could see God, but after they came out of the garden, they could not see God. It is true with anybody. Some people can't see him, and other people cannot see him. That is true. That is not true. In the world of Adam, nobody can see God. What can we see at the pitch black night? Without any kind of light, even though our eyes may be so excellent, if the night is pitch black, we cannot see anything. Whether we open up our eyes just a little bit or open up our eyes wide open, it is same. If we enter into the pitch black darkness, we would try to make our eyes wide open. We realize it's no use. It would be better for us to close our eyes. The world is totally different. So many people can see so many things, but their relationship with God is totally black. As their relationship with God was so dark, they brought sacrificial offering. Why did Cain and Abel brought sacrificial offering? As they were dark toward God, they brought sacrificial offering in order to communicate with God. In order to check various things, they offered sacrificial offering. In the Garden of Eden, there was no such thing like Adam offering sacrificial offering. As Adam saw God directly, he didn't need to offer sacrificial offering in the garden. But outside of the garden, as he could not see God, in order to communicate with God, they had to offer sacrificial offering. They tried to maintain a relationship with God through sacrificial offering. In the ancient religion, all religion, when they want to maintain a relationship with their gods, they offer sacrificial offering. Man's thoughts are the same. Our ancestors thought if we show our extreme loyalty to God, God will become touched. If we try to offer all of our possession and show our extreme loyalty, God will surely respond. This is the basic thought of all man, which is inside of human being. In the world of Adam, they can see everything, but their relationship with God became so dark. This is the world outside of the garden. The man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. He must not allow to reach out his hands and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever. And God cast out Adam and Eve out of the garden. God cast them out in order not to get the eternal life. God cast them out, and could they see God? Could they maintain a relationship with God? So people tried to make all kinds of religion. Like those Gentiles, they had to develop all kinds of methods to meet God. People trying to seek all kinds of methods. That is the religion. Jesus answered, "Are there not 12 hours of daylight? A man who walks by the day will not stumble, for he sees by this world's light." People all would say it's middle of the night, but Jesus said it's 12 hours of daylight. People don't know anything. They're in the darkness toward God himself and his work. But Jesus said, "Are there not 12 hours of daylight?" He meant he could see God's work in such bright daylight. Why can't you see? These things are already in the experiences of John himself. People have fixed concepts. Such things cannot be carried out without God. It is impossible by human power. Whoever that may be, if they look at what Jesus carried out, there is no other way but to think it's God's work, not human work. And all the conflicts were caused by the born blind man as his eyes were opened up by Jesus. Thank you. Hallelujah. May God bless every one of you. Thank you again. Thank you. Thank you.